Hello, hello. Hope everyone is having a fantastic day. I'm Dr. Ruth Roberts. I am delighted to be doing this question and answer session for you on the last day of the Holistic Dog Care Summit. I hope you've gotten a terrific amount of value from the previous 3 days. We've had some amazing Q&A sessions the last 2 days, and was really delighted by the insightfulness of the questions that everybody's answering. In case you're wondering who this little furball is, Hayo is with me on the call as usual, and we're super excited for this day. So before we get started, let's give a huge shout out to our sponsors, Chi Dog, amazing, amazing, amazing gently cooked diets that are made to support pets in the tradition of traditional Chinese veterinary medicine. Pets PEMF, I think one of the best producers of a pet pulsed electromagnetic field therapy pads. It's one of Hayo's favorite things in the world. The Well Pet Dispensary from Dr. Rob Silver, amazing products from a formulator with many decades of experience. And last but not least, certainly Animal Biome. So the forerunner in supporting your pet's microbiome. They have not only tests to help you understand what's going on, but also products to help improve the quality of the microbiome. So we've got a super exciting day today. Coming up, we have a day of helping you help your pet with at-home physical care therapies. So Dr. Igor Yerman, one of the preeminent scientists in the European Union on pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, and I had a great conversation about PEMF. And so you'll learn about the science behind it, why PEMF therapy is a non-invasive kind of spa day for your pet's cells, and how to integrate PEMF therapy into your pet's daily routine. The next conversation was a great presentation from Donna Woods using light therapy to heal chronic diseases. She discussed, we all kind of know about red light, but she discussed some of the other color spectrums, green and blue light, and how this could be this secret weapon to support anxious pets. And more about the science there, as well as some of the amazing healing stories of pets who's bounced back from illness thanks to light therapy. And then next was a talk from Michael Daly, one of our certified holistic pet health coaches, who was also a certified canine massage therapist. And he went through in this video some very simple massage techniques that you can do at home to help support your pet, get some increased circulation into the tissues, and incorporate range of motion exercises to your dog's routine so that you can understand how to help maintain and improve their mobility. Michael has a ton of experience as massage therapist for dogs that are active agility participants, and also as a veterinary technician in my office. And then lastly, we close with a very amazing presentation from Dr. Jeff Feynman, discussing vet spirituality and sort of understanding symptoms in terms of what the body is trying to tell us. So that secret language of symptomatology and what the dog is trying to communicate with us about what they need for better health, surprising ways that your love can increase your dog's vitality, and then finally using his BEAM score as your dog's personal wellness barometer. So super, super interesting concepts. And then lastly, one selfish little plug, there is a course that I did, which is about learning how to heal your dog's kidney holistically. And this course gives you a boatload of information so that you can understand what your veterinarian is telling you, what the conventional thoughts are in terms of how things will progress, and then we go through holistic options. Now, we did this course live a year ago, but included with your purchase is a hour-long live question and answer session with me. And I think that was incredibly useful for so many people. last year, because they were just, trying to figure out what to do next. The information they had pets varying all through the stages, from stage 1 iris disease, so International Renal Interest Society, all the way up to stage 4. And the wonderful thing is that I was able to give them the information they needed to make their pets' quality of life better, regardless of the stage where they were. So there's that, and I can see some questions lining up. That's super. So we'll get started with those. And so let's see. First up, Gerard, welcome. Glad you're here today. 13-year-old dog with tumors, and you want to know if there's a homeopathic or herbal formula that will shrink his tumors. So it depends on what the tumors are. Are they warts? Does he have hemangiosarcoma in the abdomen? So this is the thing, is that different tumors require different levels of support. And I think one of the sort of standard answers I could give you would be to use an omega-3 fatty acid supplement at very high doses. So 200 milligrams per kilogram is what's considered to be the cancer dose for omega-3 fatty acids, and that's really more concerning things like lymphoma, hemangiosarcoma, those really difficult to deal with, very aggressive types of tumors. But even if you're dealing with just papillomas or skin tumors, then a lower dose is still going to be helpful. And then one of the other things I would seriously consider is some sort of a balanced mushroom blend, so a functional mushroom blend. Dr. Silver's got a great series of products. I like Real Mushrooms products, and you can find those on my website. So 5 Defenders is a good general immune support, and then often we'll add in turkey tail for specific other tumors. And Gerard, if you're really struggling with some very difficult or aggressive type of cancer and you don't have access to holistic options, this is where I would strongly suggest you consider working with a holistic pet health coach. These are people that I've trained over the last 2.5 years. Their knowledge base is in functional medicine and traditional Chinese veterinary medicine, and how to use the power of whole food nutrition to support health. And if you want to check out where they are, go to my website, drruthroberts.com, and click on the tab that says Find a Coach. So hope that's helpful for you. All right, what do we got going? Flea and tick prevention, diatomaceous earth in the yard. And you're worried if that's going to kill off the other bugs that you don't want to kill off, and that's a great consideration. So in terms of what does diatomaceous earth do, it is a little, the chitinous cells, or shells, I should say, from little diatoms, little organisms. And so the way they work is that they physically lacerate the eggs and the larvae of the insects that are growing there. And so what we're primarily concerned about are fleas in this situation. So I think what you can do is be selective in the way you use it. And you would want to put it where fleas tend to hang out. So for instance, they like in the deep south, which is where I lived for many years, they like to hang out in the shady areas under bushes at the periphery of yards where maybe there's a big hedgerow or something like this. The other consideration would be nematodes, which will eat specific eggs and larvae. And so this is a useful strategy, and the upside is that there's not a big concern with killing off other good bugs. So I think that's been extremely useful. You can also look at things like cedar oil sprays, so Cedarside, Wondercide, and that's a great way to use a natural repellent. So we do want to keep the earth in balance along with our pets, but in this situation, essentially what you're going to be able to do is repel the guys you don't want around your pets. Excellent question. Wonderful. Rita, thank you so much for coming. I'm glad you've had great value from the information here. Vegan alternative to meat for the crock pet diet for a 7-year-old husky. So I do have a lentil-based recipe for the crock-pot diet. And if you have already purchased the course, the team can point you to that. But I'm going to say that with a codicil. We use that um, mainly for pets that have profound food sensitivities. And, and Dr. Margot Roman, who is a pioneer in microbiome research, uses primarily a plant-based diet for her dogs, but she does include either raw meaty bones or other meat products periodically. Dogs can be vegetarians or vegan, but what I typically see over time is that their liver enzymes start to increase. And so I would encourage you to include some sort of meat product on a regular basis, at least 3 times a week. But by using beans and grains, you would be able to decrease the amount of animal protein that would be needed to keep your pet healthy. But I think it is important to include that to some degree. That's an excellent question. Diana, good to see you today. And oh, okay, so he's got one in his abdomen and one inside the left leg. And Gerard, I think that's great that you're doing energy work, because that indeed can help shift a lot of this stuff. Excuse me, I had a very interesting conversation with Dr. Marlene Siegel yesterday. And what we were talking about was how much of chronic disease becomes a reflection of our own emotional or traumatic experiences that are unresolved. And I'm not saying this to make you feel guilty. Please understand. So disease is disease, but sometimes our dogs have these issues so that they can show us things about ourselves. So one of the emotional kind of equivalents of cancer is anger. And so what you might want to reflect on is if there is some unresolved anger that you're carrying either from this life and this is way out in the woo-woo, or in past lives. But I think if you're doing an energy work, you get where I'm coming from. So again, Gerard, I think if that's something you're struggling with, you and your dog, that this is a great opportunity to use a coach and to get a more defined way to support your dog. One of the other things that may be helpful as well is that several of our coaches are animal communicators. So Laura Muzal and Melissa Sherman are both really skilled animal communicators, and they can help you understand what your dog is feeling and also kind of the direction they'd like to head. And that way you can kind of, the three of you, so to speak, can come up with a plan together. So I hope that makes sense. Cool. Excellent questions, excellent insights. And yeah, so this is the ongoing discussion, right? So there's, on the human side, there's all this discussion, Diana, that, oh, alcohol is toxic at any dose. And then there's all these other studies that say, no, it has health benefits. Same discussion on the pet side. I think large volumes of alcohol are problematic. And if your dog has liver problems, so liver enzyme elevations or liver disease, then I think you would want to definitely go with a more of a glycerin-based. Another way to approach this, if you already have alcohol-based tinctures, is to just put some, you can do one of two things. Put some warm water, so put the amount of tincture you would want to use, and then pour in a small amount of boiling water to help dissipate the alcohol, or just put it in on top of some treats and let it sit out so that the alcohol evaporates. But I think in general, because of the relatively small volume that's of the tinctures that we're going to give, an alcohol-based tincture is not an issue for a pet. Hope that's helpful. Cool. So what are the right on. So liver congestion and ALT. So Diana, this is where I would really encourage you to look at things like just good old milk thistle, advanced TUDCA, carboxy. So again, that whole push-catch concept we were talking about yesterday, using TUDCA, liposomal glutathione, or milk thistle to kind of help push junk out of the liver. And then a catcher, which is yeah, the top of Hio's head. She's very sleepy. Um, she's got her best hairdo on for you today. But at any rate, that is a very effective way to help cleanse the liver, but also grab the toxins and pull them out of the body. Another really useful technique is to use a bitters solution. So Wise Woman Herbals makes something called bitter sweet. And for a person, it would be about a half an ml. For a little dog, and I think your pup was somewhere around 25 pounds, if I have any recollection, um, somewhere around a quarter teaspoon, 16th of a teaspoon. And it's quite interesting, even though there is a very bitter taste, if it's going to be helpful for the dog, they often like the taste. And the reason I'm mentioning bitters is that it helps to move the bile out of the biliary system and into the small intestine. And the reason that's important is the bile contains so much of the toxins that the liver is trying to get rid of. And this is where you would want to, again, make sure you have a catcher on board so that it can be absorbed, because unfortunately the body is extremely efficient with bile salts and generally will absorb about 95% of them back into circulation. So we want to have a catcher on board to grab that stuff as it goes. And good morning, Tiziana. Gerard, again, go to drruthroberts.com, click on Find a Coach, or you can just search Melissa Sherman in the search bar, and she'll show up there for you. Wonderful. You're welcome, Diana. Let's see, Rana. How to figure out human doses like milk thistle, TUDCA, carboxy. So we actually made this easy for you. There are several protocols on my website that you can download, and on each of the product pages, there is some information on how to use it for your pets. So for instance, for TUDCA, that's a tiny amount. So it's for a human, it's a quarter teaspoon. And so for little Hio, she would literally get just a tiny pinch mixed into her food. So the other thing is too, is that fulvic acid, humic acid can pull quite strongly. And so what you would want to do is actually just tiny pinch, and mix that in with her food for a few days and gradually, so give it 1 day, wait for a little bit, no issues, then give it 2 days later, and so on and so forth until you've built up to a daily dose. And thanks for that, Jendi. What else is going on, y'all? What were your favorites from yesterday? We had some really awesome talks on healing of the gut and the spleen. Dr. Holly Gans talking about supporting vitality and longevity by tending the microbiome. Dr. Betsy Redmond talking about testing for IBD or pancreatic insufficiency. Dr. Susan Borer from Chi Foods, improving chronic disease in your dog with food therapy. And Dr. Odette Suter talking about how microbes could be the key to fighting cancer. So Dr. Borer with Chi Dog has been really amazing in terms of producing quality diets that are palatable to pets, meaning they think actually that they're pretty darn tasty, and then to support specific patterns of disharmony in Chinese medicine. But she's also great at giving you the concept of what that would be, just like, oh, my dog has a sensitive stomach. Great. I'm glad it was all interesting, Tiziana. That's awesome. Cool. So, great. That's a big one. So, Linda, there is a great YouTube video that I did with Tanya Vaxace, one of my coaches, probably 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, about natural options, particularly for flea and tick and heartworm. But here's the quick and dirty rundown. So she talked a lot about different repellents, and also different tick kind of blocking strategies she's developed over time. But here's the quick rundown. So essential oil sprays, you do need to use them probably almost every time you go out if it's really heavy duty tick season or flea season. Fleas Be Gone spray by a company called Catan Dog out of Spain. They actually do have research showing the efficacy against flea and ticks. I've used amber collars in the past. These work by electrostatic repellency, zero bug zone. Golly, there's so many out there. Amber Naturals HWF has been useful for supporting pets to stay clear of heartworms, to clear foreign materials out of the body that could impact the heart. So that's a great one. And then there's so many out there, like Wondercide, cedar oils can be very helpful in terms of repelling fleas and ticks. There's a collar that Wondercide makes as well. Excuse me, I've got a big frog in my throat. Right on. Cool. And Wendy, welcome. Good to see you. 10-year-old dog Dasequin for joints. It is safe. I don't think it's particularly effective for the cost. So one of the ones I used to use and practice all the time was Arthra Ease Gold. It does have a chicken flavoring, so if your dog is sensitive to chicken, not a great option. And then Jope has a great joint supplement. And then I've reformulated Arthropause, which includes not only UC2 collagen, glucosamine, MSM, boswellia, hyaluronic acid, and a whole boatload of other good stuff. So those are all effective options. And then omega-3 fatty acids. So those are all supplement options, but really underneath it, you need to make sure that the diet is dialed in, because if you're feeding a pro-inflammatory diet or a diet that your dog has sensitivities to, that's going to continue to ratchet the inflammation up. And so then it's difficult to really get effective relief with supplements alone. Hope that's helpful. Right on. Good job, Linda. So there's so many options available now, and that's just lovely, isn't it? And still, I think we get into problems every now and again, but by and large, if we start early, we can keep it under control. Sam, good to see you. 6.5-year-old Labrador with mast cell tumor, really dry skin, itchy fur, loss on the flanks and ears. Tumor was removed this week. Seems itchy most of the time and sneezes frequently. Support him during recovering and moving forward with itchy stuff. Raw diet presently. So I think, one of the things that we talk about with the coaches, and in full disclosure, Sam is getting close to graduation. So for those of you living in the UK, Sam is your man. There's Kat Jepson there as well that's graduated. We've got several others on the way. But this is where you want to start with the basics. So the root of chronic inflammation is often in the gut. And then the other thing is we want to cool down the activity of the mast cells releasing histamine. And that's where a quercetin supplement can be super useful. This is the other thing is omega-3 fatty acids are going to be super useful. And really just keeping them comfortable during that recovery process will be important. And then kind of adding in other parts of the protocol as we start to see, how aggressive was the tumor? Was it completely resected? All of those things. So that's where we just take it step by step. And Euglins, Tiziana. I don't know that one, and I have a feeling that's the Latin name, so I may know the common name in English, but not in other languages. Right on. Pet poems. Yes, Sam will write you some pet poems too. Omega-3 supplement. There's a boatload out there. I do have one called Omega Pause, which I like because it is highly concentrated, so you don't have to use as much when you're trying to reach those higher doses. And the cool thing is that it is sourced off the coast of Peru, which interestingly is one of the most sustainable fisheries in the world, which is, I think, very important. We're going to have to start finding alternatives to fish-based omega-3 soon, though, because we're putting too much pressure on the ocean. So an algae-based omega is another good option. It's just difficult to achieve those concentrations. Great. What else is going on out there, y'all? We have nice, clear internet signal today, which I'm delighted for. And you're very welcome, Gerard. Let's see. So have any of you used PEMF products? So a CC Loop is one of the older brands, and then PEMF, there's a boatload of them out there. If you don't know how they work, I think I would encourage you to check out Dr. Yerman's talk today, because I think it's quite interesting. Walnut. Okay. Yes, and that's great for Tiziana. That's great for intestinal parasites too. So the really interesting thing is that many of the other modalities we might use for pain relief, like cold laser, we can't use with cancer patients because they work by increasing blood flow into the tissue. And if we give the cancer more blood flow, then we're at risk of actually making the cancer grow faster. And that is the last thing we want to do. But there's quite a bit of research around using PEMF to support people and pets with cancer. And the reason that that's successful is that it helps to restore coherence of energy waves in the cell. And so as I start down this train of thought, bear with me because it's not woo-woo. If you're familiar with the Heart Math organization, they've shown very clearly, and there's a lot of research out there, that in the human heart, we emanate an electromagnetic field up to 15 feet away from us, so almost 4 meters, which is pretty crazy. And what's really interesting about that is when we're healthy, when we're happy, when our bodies are in coherence, so to speak, then the waves are very smooth and regular. So part of how PEMF works is by helping to take energetic signals or waves that are out of coherence in the body and put them back into coherence. So sort of smoothing out the wrinkles, if you will. And, we are very lucky to have internet, and this allows us to be able to communicate like this. But there is a downside of it, and that is electromagnetic frequencies. That's part of how our energetic patterns are taken out of coherence. And so there's several really interesting graphs in terms of what does an organism's energetic waves look like close to power lines, close to high EMF producers. And you can see that the patterns become very erratic. And then you can reintroduce PEMF, and we can see those patterns smooth out. So that's one of the really interesting things about this modality. There really are not that much of contraindications that I can think of for this pup at all, for that particular modality at all. So really good stuff. Cool. Just trying to think what else I can tell you all about. And you've had some amazing questions. So if you've got more, keep them coming. That keeps me happy. One of the other things that I think is so important, like you, Gerard, you're taking the time to do energy work for your pet. And so essentially you're doing that work of smoothing things out. And that's where you as a pet parent, if you don't know how to do energy work, if you do basic massage techniques, you are putting your intention into what you want to have happen. And so that is a way to actually do energy work and keep your pet's body in harmony. The other thing that does is that if your animal is sick, if your dog has some horrible disease, they're really suffering, it hurts you, it hurts us, right? By spending time with them and doing massage, what you're doing is putting your love for them directly into them instead of the worry that we end up really struggling with. So I think this is a very important thing to do, because we can be at choice in how we allow our energy to impact others. And I think that's a critical thing to remember. So think about that. What I love to tell people is that if you've gotten a really horrible diagnosis for your dog, it's got hemangiosarcoma, it's got end stage kidney disease, any of these things, we want to go and get knowledge and get informed. But what I want you to remember is that your dog is still sitting there next to you, feeling how anxious and afraid you are, and wondering why you're not focusing your love on them any longer. So I think it's critically important to get up from the computer, go outside with them, take a deep breath, and do nothing. And Hayo is a great reminder to me. Thanks. Rana, good to see you. Recommendations for a very anxious 70-pound dog. Whew, that can be a lot, right? So, did you know that 90% of the neurotransmitters are produced by the microbiome? And so, this is why I keep going back to saying that it's all in the gut. And that's why we had a whole day yesterday on healing the gut. So, in terms of short-term fixes, like, oh my God, I got to get a handle on this guy, or he's going to hurt me or someone else, there's several things I would suggest. One is PEMF, PEMF, so the Pet's PEMF pad is great because you can use it to support animals that are painful, but it also has a stress and anxiety setting. And the cool thing is that you can leave this thing on for up to 8 hours at a time. Other things that you can use are there's a Real Mushrooms makes a mushroom relax chew designed by Dr. Rob Silver. And it's super because it includes lion's mane, tremella, a couple of other things, but it also includes therapeutic levels of tryptophan, theanine, passion flower, and valerian root. And so that has been super helpful because that combination of ingredients can help bring the stress level and anxiety level down to tolerable. A CBD product can be incredibly helpful. If you're in the US, there is a company called Earth Buddy, and Sean Zier there has a product that he calls Quick Calm. And so what he has done is created an aqueous version of CBD, which is generally provided as an oil, and that can be sprayed in the mouth. And generally, it will provide very, very quick relief in terms of anxiety. So there's that option. If you're in the UK, Hemp Heroes is a great option. That's a cold pressed CBD oil. I've been trying that for Hayo, and I've been very pleased with the results with it. So hope that's helpful, Rana. And then the long haul is really doing the work to repair the gut, heal the gut, and then working with someone that can help you retrain around certain triggers. And really, it's a sort of a whole package deal. But the suggestions I gave you are more for quick relief. So that gives you some time to do the work that's required underneath. In terms of would mushrooms be more beneficial than ashwagandha? Ashwagandha is a great herb for supporting stress, chronic stress. It's an adaptogen, so it does. If you're too stressed out, it'll bring you down. If you're like depressed, it'll help bring your balance back up. Mushrooms is a little bit different approach, and so lion's mane, tremella, and actually ergothioneine are supplements that on the human side and on the pet side, we have research to support improving cognitive benefits. And anxiety is cognitive function out of balance to some degree. So there's that as well. But that's more of a long-term approach as well. But again, healing the gut, because that's where the transmitters are being made. And then using probiotics, FMT, all of those things that you learned about yesterday. Cool. And Diana, yeah, I did too. So literally 2 weeks ago, I was in the UK at the Natural Pet Expo. Actually got to see Sam there, which was a Ball and Sarah Sharp. We just had a really great time with that. Had a long conversation with the founder, David Hartwell, and um, I'm really impressed with what that product is doing. It's a very different approach. Most of the hemp oils that I've seen are extracted CBD products from hemp, but literally he's just pressing the whole hemp flower. So all of the plant materials are coming out. So very interesting. Yes, Diana, you are correct about that. um, and I think David's got some Hemp Heroes has got some mushroom products as well. So that would check that out. And Gerard, good for you for giving your pup kisses and staying in that present moment of love. I think that's so helpful. Uh, let's see, Sam, thank you. Yeah, that's it. It's all about energy and about experiencing that love and sharing love and receiving it. That's the trick. That's a trip, Diana. I don't know. We just passed in the nights. Um, CBD tincture, and reishi tincture, Gerard, absolutely. I mean, if you've got those made and you know kind of roughly doses, roughly how many milligrams per ml specifically with the CBD, I think that's great. So a great starting dose is around 2 milligrams to see how your dog responds. And then it could be as high as 50 or even 200. So little Hio, who's about 3 kilograms, takes 40 milligrams of CBD every day. And if I take 1 milligram of CBD, I am in the dirt for 36 hours. So you have to go really slowly adding that in. Um, so all good stuff. Best clean overall supplement recommendations. That is an interesting one. All right. So there's a lot of discussion going on right now how synthetic vitamins are awful and evil and that kind of stuff. And I think that it is difficult to find the science that really supports that proposition. What I can tell you that I've done with my supplements and which many high quality manufacturers do is to test so that we know, is there contamination? So, for instance, hemp is the industry that really started this, where they had to provide certificates of analysis because hemp and mushrooms are bioaccumulators, meaning you may get these lovely, lovely mushrooms and hemp flowers, but if they've been grown in soil that's contaminated with arsenic, other heavy metals, pesticides, glyphosates, et cetera, it's going to suck all that stuff up. So for those two industries, it is critical. And so you will see in the certificate of analysis that what's in the hemp, what type of CBD, how much of it, and other cannabinoids are present. And then also, are there pesticides, herbicides, glyphosate, heavy metals, bacterial contamination, fungal contamination, et cetera, et cetera. And I took after some interesting stuff came out on now kelp powder. So there's a site in the US called Lead Free Mama, and she had children that had lead toxicity and had severe problems as a result of that. So she's using the action alerts for lead levels and other heavy metal levels in baby food, which is significantly lower than the rest of the uh, children and adult population. And maybe that's right, maybe it isn't. But frankly, the sad thing is that everything is contaminated. So all kelp is contaminated with arsenic and cadmium to some degree. Some have mercury as well. And so it's a matter of how much, right? So it was big doings when that came out, but it turns out that the now kelp values were actually not that much worse or better than some of the companies that have or sustainably harvested kelp. So what does that mean? It means that it's in the seawater and we can't get away from it completely. So that's the deal, is that you have to look at sort of the least bad option in many cases. And this is why daily detoxification is so critical, because it just is there. It's in our water. I think we talked a little bit about this yesterday, and we have done pissed in the grits. That's what my mama would say, and I think it's really true, is that we've just been using these chemicals willy-nilly without understanding the impact we were having on our planet, ourselves, and other living beings on this planet, and that includes plants. So it impacts all of us. So I think what you need to do is look at the web page of the supplement you're looking at. Are they giving you a clear formula? Or is it proprietary and you actually have no idea what's in it and how much, and that kind of stuff? So there's that. The other thing is to look for a certificate of analysis, or a COA. You'll see that. Many companies will say that they do COA testing. Now does it? It was really frustrating that they actually will not provide the results. So this is where I think that you can say, or just, they just don't want to deal with having to answer escalating questions from consumers, which is not necessarily a good thing. And the other thing to realize is that largely supplements are not a very well regulated industry. There, in the United States, there's an organization called the National Animal Supplement Council, and I can tell you, to get a product registered with them and go through their process is easily $5,000 to $6,000 per supplement, plus the testing. So it's for me, for a small manufacturer, it's a difficult and very costly process. So what I chose to do is just test. So we've got all of our results back now. The thing I was most happy about is that there were no detectable levels of any of the pesticides. So very happy about that. My heavy metal content, similar to high quality products on the market. And of course, no bacteria, no fungus, or within acceptable limits, right? Because we don't live in a sterile world. So I hope that's helpful. It is very confusing. If you get to a product page and you're like, why? I don't understand this. Then maybe that's not a good product. It should be clear and easy to understand. And if it's not, that's often a marketing technique to kind of throw you off. And Wendy, yes, I did answer your question about Dasequin. It's not a highly effective supplement. It is safe, certainly. So there's a few options out there. Jope Arthur Ease, which is available, but it has a chicken flavoring base. So if your pet's sensitive to chicken, not so great. And then I make one called Arthur Paws, which is sort of the kitchen sink version with no flavoring agents. And then just general joint support, omega-3 fatty acids. If your pup has arthritis, PEMF support. That's amazing, amazing stuff. Cool. And Gerard, I'm glad this has been helpful. And this is why we started the Holistic Pet Health Coaching Program, because there are so many amazing holistic vets, but there are not enough of us. And so you need access to people that can help you support through the journey if you want to take a holistic approach and not the conventional ones. And that's why you guys are here, right? And Linda, good on you for doing detox. I think one of the things that we leave out, and that Dr. Karen Becker is really good at reminding us of, is that if you don't take it in, then you don't have to get it out of the body. And Rodney Habib said this at the talk at the Natural Dog Expo. So amazing thing to do is use a water filter that takes out heavy metals, pesticides, PFASs, all of that stuff, so that you just don't have to, have your dog or your family ingest it. Cool. Yvonne, emergency splenectomy. So, and is the emergency splenectomy because there's hemangiosarcoma? Hopefully not, because that's not fun. So raw food is good. You may wish to restart from the ground up because the spleen, the energetic parallel to the physical spleen that was removed, is the main digestive organ in Chinese medicine. The splenophore is cold and damp. And so this is where considering a home cooked diet may be really quite good. And then honestly, going through that rotation and elimination diet set up using a test like Glacier Peak's pet wellness scan. So yesterday, Jessica Fisher, one of our holistic pet health coach colleagues, gave a talk about how to do that. Glacier Peak's test is available internationally. So they are based in US, but you can order one from them and it's pretty easy to get. And then really rebuilding the gut, because if there's a tumor, that means that the immune system is not surveilling properly, along with producing 90% of the neurotransmitters. The gut, the microbiome, produces 70% of the immune cells and the immune molecules. So critical to get the immune system back online so it can do its job. If there was concern about a bleed or hemangiosarcoma, Yunnan Baiyao is a very excellent supplement to use. And then honestly, it just depends on what else is there. You can't go wrong with probiotics. You can't go wrong with omega-3 fatty acids. You can't go wrong with something like 5 Defenders in terms of supporting general immune function. And then if she had to have some prescription pain medications, things like that, that's where doing a detox protocol would be super helpful, very, very gently. So again, milk thistle, advanced TUDCA, carboxy, that kind of stuff. Yes, absolutely safe and a really good idea. Reverse osmosis water. Yvonne, Gerard, herbal detox triphala. Triphala is another interesting Ayurvedic supplement, and really it's called the Great Rebalancer. So it works like one of these like ashwagandha, in the sense of it is a modulator. It is a great herb to use and can help sort through gut issues. So that's a great idea. Yvonne, that is awesome. No tumors. And you can get a torsion in the spleen. So that's a whole different story. But again, immune support will be critical because that is one of the immune organs. So well done. Happy news for sure. Let's see. Wendy. Vinegar, tulsi tea, and lavender spray for flea spray. Yep, that's a way you could do it. There's a boatload of other essential oil sprays that are available as well. And I think you got to just keep looking for what's going to work well for you and what's available in your area. Great questions, you all. Really enjoying this. Thank you. Let's see. What else have we got, Chindi? Rana, what causes lipomas? I'm glad you're not buying it. So they are benign tumors, but even if they're benign tumors, that means something is out of whack, right? So one of the things that people are talking about right now is that lipomas are little livers, in the sense that they are storing toxins. And I think the liver comparison is not so good. We know that fat cells store toxins. And if we've got a boatload of stuff that the body can't handle, it would make some sense that it would create like a depot to shove all this stuff into, just to take it out of circulation, literally. So there's several things you can work on there. Detoxification, like we've discussed, a benign tumor. So again, working on the gut. Again, I know I sound like a broken record all the time, right? But it really is the same things over and over again. These are always the basics underlying all of these chronic diseases. And then we take action with those, see the results that we get, and then add other things on top if it's necessary. We want to try and really limit what's going on. But I think that it's been really frustrating because, yeah, that's kind of veterinary medicine's standard answer because we don't know what to do about them other than take them off when they get to be too big or in the animal's way. So work on it from that standpoint of rebuilding the gut and detoxification. Great stuff, you all. And administered triphala. If Sterling doesn't like the taste of it, you can try hiding it in something delicious, and or you can get empty double O gelatin capsules, which are the sort of bigger ones, and pack them with the powder, and then that might make it easier to hide in a delicious treat. So I hope that's helpful. And Ronnie, you are welcome. Really glad to be of help. Cool. What else, y'all? Amazing. Rapid fire. I burned you out. So today is our last day for the summit. Go enjoy the talks today because we have some incredible speakers. If you or someone you know has a dog that's dealing with kidney disease, remember, we've got this amazing course I built last year on how to support your dog's kidney holistically. So we'll break down what is going on in terms of conventional medicine physiologically, and then also help you understand what the vet will say and why, and then offer you some options for supporting your pet holistically. The course itself, I think, is 4 hours total, and then, or 3 hours. Apologies, I can't remember exactly, but we will have a live 1 hour Q&A to support you so that if you've got questions in particular about your dog, we'll be able to answer those and get things moving. And the other thing is I want to make sure that we thank our sponsors again, because again, without them, these programs would not exist. And so again, She-Dog, Dr. Susan Bars actually spoke yesterday in using TCVM about healing chronic disease. Pets PEMF. So again, amazing PEMF product to support your dog for pains, anxiety, and healing. Well Pet Dispensary from Dr. Rob Silver. And last but not least, again, Animal Biome, one of the first, actually the first, in the microbiome talk. Amazing stuff. Cool. Yvonne, I'm sorry you missed it too. If you have a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old female dogs, and I'm not sure actually if you mean male or female, if things are under control, I wouldn't spay or neuter. The 7-year-old, you could say, well, maybe. And the reason is that about 10% of intact female dogs will end up developing something called pyometra, which is an infection. So it's not fun when it happens, and it is a potentially life-threatening issue. But if you can bear it out, maybe don't spay them. You know, if the older dog has some other thing that's going on, then maybe consider spaying at that point. But often what we see is these guys end up developing a urinary incontinence and some other issues soon after spaying. And collapsed trachea. So Kim, this is a tough one because it's really a problem for these little guys. There are several approaches to take. CBD can be extremely helpful, making sure that allergies are under control. There's a product, a quercetin product called Histopause that I produce that's great for these smaller guys. And then really there's some mushroom products that are helpful. So Shaga can be super useful. Combination. There's one that MycoDog makes called Breathe that's been very helpful for pups with collapsing trachea. So there's some good starters there. And then really, if it's getting worse and worse and worse, to make sure that there's no heart disease along with it as well. And that's something your veterinarian can help you with. And Lady Ewan, no. So the concepts, we talk mostly about dogs, but the concepts apply to cats as well. So same set of issues, sadly. And let's see. Diana, intact males and prostate cysts. Um, so it does happen, benign prostatic hyperplasia. Uh, and if they're not having issues in terms of difficulty urinating or infection, things like that, uh, then I would just work on taking that cyst down. And so that's where things like saw palmetto can be super useful because it helps convert testosterone, DHT type testosterone to testosterone. So, because that tends to create a lot of the prostate problems. And then pumpkin seed. You can get both pumpkin seed oil and pumpkin, and just grind up pumpkin seeds, which are also useful for parasite control, intestinal parasite control. Cool. And Yvonne from Scotland, thank you. Great. Anything else? You guys have been amazing. Thank you for such fantastic questions. You're well educated, and I love this that you are continuing to elevate your education going forward. Okay, so Diana, yeah, if pooping in segments, that means that there's significant swelling. So again, that may be CBD and mushrooms could be super helpful there, and there's some other tricks as well. So controlling inflammation, making sure there's no infection present. And oddly, that's where a detox protocol could be helpful as well. If we've got junk, sludge stuck in the prostate cells, this will help sort of clear things out. Cool. Rana, my pleasure. Wonderful. Okay, so again, one more big shout out to our amazing sponsors. Chi-Dog, love them. Pets PEMF, Well Pet Dispensary. Dr. Rob is a master formulator. Go check out his products. He's got some interesting, if you're in the US, CBD products which incorporate CBG, so a different cannabinoid, and then Animal Biome, the first in space to create microbiome testing and fecal transplant products for our pets. Thank you for your interest and for coming to the summit. Enjoy the lectures today. Keep the questions coming and keep learning. And if you need help with your chronically ill pet, you don't have a holistic vet, again, head over to drruthroberts.com, click on that Find a Coach tab, and go check it out. There are 105 graduates, literally all over the world at this point, that are able to help you help your pets. Thanks so much, and hope to see you soon.